and I'm quitting alcohol. So I went to a funeral today. One of my good old friends, Chris Ashcroft, his mum died, Jane Ashcroft, who was a great lady, real great lady. Her house was always open to us. She would let any old rat stay there. Any old fucking drifter come through and stay. She was cool like that, and then she would feed ya, clothe ya, and you actually felt at home there. It wasn't like one of those mates' places you would go to and their parents made you feel like you were fucking intruding. Jane would roll out the welcome mat. She actually wanted you to stay. And they had a really good family. They were tight, they were close, they did shit together. And then the rest of us had shitty families who did nothing together and were basically at each other's throats. So it was always nice to go to Ashcroft's house and see how a family actually operates. Jane was actually one of the very few parents of my mates that actually liked me. I wasn't that well liked by the parents. But Jane was always sweet with me, even when I was doing dodgy shit. She would kind of turn a blind eye and ignore it, but this is why I love Jane. So every Christmas, for some reason or another, I never had family around. I can't remember exactly why, but many Christmases in a row, it was just me by myself. I can't remember why. I was thinking about it today. So Jane would tell Chris, my mate, Chris Ashcroft. I'll call him Ashcroft from here on in. So Jane would tell Ashcroft to invite me over to Christmas lunch. And I would be like, no fucking way I'm coming to Christmas lunch. I hate Christmas. Plus, we all go out Christmas Eve and get hammered. So I'm just going to be hungover as shit on Christmas Day anyway. So I don't want to come. And plus, I don't want to hang out with someone else's family anyway. As much as I did love their family. So I would say no. Ashcroft would say, just come. My mum's asking, come. And I'd say, no, I don't want to come. I'm just going to chill here and be hungover. It's cool. I hate Christmas anyway. So every Christmas Day for years, I would be sitting at my house by myself on Christmas Day, hungover as shit. And Chris Ashcroft would come over to my place and bring me a big plate of Christmas food from his house that his mum had packed me, that Jane had packed me. So she would pack me a plate of Christmas food and she would send Chris down to my house, and then Chris would sit there with me for about half an hour, depressed, just wanting to go back to his house for Christmas. But Jane did that every year. She packed me a big lunch and sent her son down to give it to me and spend half an hour with me for Christmas. She cared. She was one of those ladies that just gave a shit. And she was great. And rest in peace, Jane. You'll be missed and everyone loved you. And fucking funerals are weird fucking things. What are funerals, by the way? I was watching it today and I was like, this is fucking sadistic. Like, what is it? You get a room full of people who knew the person who just died. Some knew them well, some didn't. Half the room is attending just to take a day off work. Then you get the most affected people, the people who are grieving the most out of anyone in the room. And you're like, hey, do you know how to make speeches? And they're like, no, I've never made a speech in my life. You're like, well, good, because we need you to do one today. So wipe those tears away and start writing a fucking speech. And right at the peak of their grieving, we throw them out the front of the crowd and make them do a speech about the person they just lost. And when you're watching speeches at a funeral and someone breaks down, my mate broke down. My mate did a speech and he was really just holding it together. And it was really fucking emotional. It was really intense. So I was watching it, I'm like, this guy's really fucking hurting. He's hurting bad. Like, what the fuck is he doing up there doing a speech? Isn't there a better way to do funerals? What do they do in other cultures? I like the funerals at other cultures where it lasts like 3 days. You dig a hole, you chuck the body in, or you set it on fire, throw it out into the sea. That seems more humane than getting family members who have just lost the most important person in their life to read something off a piece of paper in front of a fucking PowerPoint presentation. It seemed weird to me. And then at the end of it all, the people who actually care are quite emotional. The family have said what they wanted to say. And the person directing the funeral just goes, well, Jane will be missed, but we have refreshments at the back if you would like to have a scone. We've got some scones with jam and cream at the back there. Some light refreshments. It's like, what the fuck is going on? I just sadistically watched someone grieve in front of me, and then I'm going to be like, well, that was quite the show. I feel like a scone. I tell you what I always feel like after a little bit of gut-wrenching heartbreak. A fucking scone. I don't want a funeral. Fuck that. Do not give me a funeral. If anyone is listening to this, do not give me a funeral. What you do is you put me on a raft and you fucking send me out into the ocean. Make sure I have a t-shirt on though, because I don't want people to see my rig. Even if I am dead, I don't want people to see the rig so out of shape. Just a good t-shirt and send me out, I don't give a fuck. Or alternatively, get everyone I know into a room and force them to listen to this podcast from day one to day whenever I die. We'll see who's committed to my grieving then. If you make it all the way through the podcast, you really care. I know some people are going to check out at day 6 or 7. You mean nothing to me. If you've made it this far in my funeral, I respect you. We're friends. But you can go now. Leave. And I'd just like to tell you, if this is my funeral right now, I hated most of you. Now get the fuck out of here. No, I loved you all. Loved you all, except, yeah, most of you. All right, that's it from me tonight. Go add me on social media. I'm Boyle Comedy on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you're enjoying the podcast, rate, review, and subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts. But most importantly, tell your friends about it. Share it with your friends. Get them involved. And that's it. Fuck it. See you fucking later.